Right, question 1 is we've got 180 grams of chocolate, and it's 70% cocoa beans in the chocolate. So 70% of cocoa beans in the chocolate. And the question is, how many grams of cocoa is that? So we take our 180 grams and multiply by 70%, which we know is 0.7. 70%, 0.7. And it's the calculator paper, so you've got your calculators for this. So you get the answer 126 grams of cocoa. And that gives you 2 points. Then for B, it says, that was question A. Then in question B, it says that there are 36. So maybe 9 times 4. 36 squares in your bar of chocolate. And you need 120 grams of chocolate. And the question is, how many squares is that? Well, what you know is that 120 is really a fraction. You're trying to find out how much is 120 of 180, and 36 squares is for your whole one. So you can work it out just by doing 120 divided by 180 times by 36. That's the same as 12/18 is 12/18, divide top and bottom by 6, you get 2/3 of 36, which is 24 pieces. So that's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is thinking that 180 grams is equivalent to 36 squares. I want to know how I can go from 180 to 120. And I can do that by taking 120 divided by 180. Multiply by 120 and divide by 180, you'll get 120 grams. So you do the same thing here. And this can be simplified to 2/3. So if you multiply 36 by 2/3, in the same way we do when we're trying to work out percentages. First work out 1% and then work out 100%. And that would also give you 36 times 2/3, giving you 24 pieces. So you can choose whichever way you want to calculate it. Then we've got question 2. Anton is trying to choose between 2 bars of chocolate. One bar weighs 150 grams and it costs him 12 kronas. And that's, let's call that bar A. Then we have chocolate bar B, which is 250 grams, and it costs 19 kronas. And the question is, which one has the lowest kilo price? Okay, as this one is really easy. To go from 250 to 1 kilo is just to multiply by 4. So the kilo price of this bar B would be just 19 times 4. Okay, giving you 76 kronas per kilo for bar B. Then with bar A, we know that 150 grams is equivalent to 12 kronas. We don't want to know what 150 grams is, we want to know what 1,000 grams is. How can we get from 150 to 1,000? Well, we've got our 150, and if we multiply it by 1,000 and divide it by 150, the 150s here cancel, so it gives us 1,000. So we've already got 150, so we multiply by 1,000 divided by 150, and that gives us 1,000 grams. Then we find out that Okay, now we've got 1,000 grams, so we have to multiply by the same factor here. 1,000 divided by 150, which the zeros cancel here. It's times 100 and divide by 15, giving us a kilo price of 80 kronas per kilo. So important that you don't forget to answer the question, which one has the lowest kilo price? Our answer is bar B has the lowest kilo price at 76 kronas per kilo. So don't do all the working out and then forget to answer the question. 4 kronas per kilo cheaper than bar A. Right, let's assume that we're trying to make a box for this chocolates then. And it's made of 5 squares. This is how you cut it out on a piece of paper, and you're going to fold up all the 4 corners and turn it into a box. And what do you know? They're all squares, so the length equals the breadth. You know that the area of the whole thing is 405 centimeters squared. The question is, what is the perimeter? Well, we know that the area of 5 squares is 405, so we want the area of 1 square, which is just 405 centimeters squared divided by the number of squares we have, which is 5. That gives us 81 centimeters squared. So we know that the length times the length equals 81, so or the length squared equals 81. So the length must be the square root of 81, which is going to shout out at you. You shouldn't need your calculators for this. It's 9 centimeters. So now we know that the length is 9 centimeters, the breadth is 9 centimeters. We can look at how many edges does this shape have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 edges. So the perimeter will be 12 multiplied by 9. 12 nines are 108 centimeters. So we found that the perimeter was 108 centimeters. Next question is a statistics question, probability. You have got a box of sweets, and inside this sweets, inside this box, you've got a number of sweets that are red. You don't know how many it is, so you've got R red sweets, and you've also got B black sweets. It says, explain with your own words, what does this mean? The expression R plus 5 equals B. And this means that the number of red plus 5 equals the number of black. So there are 5 more black sweets than red. So explaining it in words means that there are 5 more black sweets than red. Let's say, for example, that there were 3 red. If there'd been 3 red, the number of black would have been 3 plus 5 equals black, because it's always 5 more. So if you ever get stuck in this type of question, just put a real number in there and see what happens. If you're not 100% sure if there's more black or more red, put in a real number there and just see what happens, and then it actually sort of jumps out at you the answer. Okay, what does the number R divided by N? So asked you to define R divided by N, and it defined N as the total number of sweets. Total number. So R divided by N is the ratio of red in the total box, or the probability, the chance of you picking out a red sweet. of picking out a red sweet randomly. The ratio of red to the total number of sweets. Okay. Now you're going to transport blocks of chocolates and you're going to give different suggestions of what dimensions you could have. Every block of chocolate that you're going to transport has to weigh 5 kilos. And they've given you the density here. So the density of the chocolate is that, they've given you the density in terms of that 1 decimeter cubed of chocolate weighs 5 kilos. So 1 decimeter cubed weighs 5 kilo, 1 kilo, sorry. 1 decimeter cubed of chocolate weighs 1 kilo. So if we're going to have a block of chocolate that weighs 5 kilos, we're going to need to have 5 decimeters cubed of chocolate. So we need to come up with some dimensions of how we could make 5 decimeters cubed. The easiest one to come up with would be 5 in the length, 1 in the breadth, and 1 decimeter in the height. That would give us a volume of length times breadth times height, 5 times 1 times 1. That's the easiest one to do. So what are we going to do then if we want another one? Well, any combination that when you multiply all of the numbers together give you 5. The most simple one would be to half that one to give you 2.5. If we half that one, we have to double the next one by multiplying by 2. So 2.5 times 2 times 1, 2.5 times 2 is 5, multiplied by 1 is 5. So all of these combinations will give you 5. What else could you do? Well, you could have decided that you wanted to double 5. So you could have doubled 5 to give you 10, and then halved 1 to give you a half. Would also have given you 5 decimeters cubed. So any of these different combinations that give you 3 numbers multiplied together to give you 5 gives you full points. You can decide yourself what sizes of chocolate you've got.